Well, a company's survival and thrival, if you like, very often relies on its ability to protect its trade secrets, its proprietary information. But South Africa's trade secret laws are not as clear-cut as they are in countries such as the USA. And Darren Olivier, who is a partner at Adams & Adams Attorneys, joins us for more insight on this subject. Morning, Darren. And earlier on we were talking about Apple, the biggest company in the world, or almost the biggest until a couple of weeks ago. And the gadgets, all the things that come out there. People have such access to information. It moves quickly. There was this bogus tweet in the United States across one of the news wires suggesting that there had been a bomb at the White House. Immediately denied, but information moves. Makes company secrets and proprietary information much more vulnerable to exposure.
Absolutely, David. I think on the one hand, obviously it's exceptionally good for business, collaboration, innovation, the speed of knowledge, unprecedented. On the other hand, if you've got trade secrets, now is the time to really be concerned about how one looks after them, because the employee has the ability to tweet at any single time. It's very kind of off the cuff, and information can be leaked very, very easily. On the same time, internally within a business, there's greater access to information than there's ever been with systems, electronic systems. And what we see, and we do a lot of due diligence work for companies in transactions, is that particularly in South Africa, there's a lack of understanding of how to protect trade secrets, because very rarely does it appear on a balance sheet, does it appear in an asset register, and as a result, businesses are vulnerable. You're absolutely right.
Valuation is obviously important, and I suppose if businesses were encouraged to value their secrets, they'd be much more concerned when they saw the value of them about protecting them. Do they tend to value them properly?
Valuation of IP is an increasingly popular thing, and it's good because it puts a market. The accountants look at it and they put a value on it, and suddenly it's become more important in the business. It's a very difficult thing to achieve, though. So it forms part of goodwill, along with patents, trademarks, copyright. But yes, valuation is an important thing.
You said a moment ago we're not where we should be with this, which is a little bit surprising. One thinks of your company, which is a big company, Adams & Adams, specialises in it, and I think it's 100 years old. It's a well-established. And there are others that specialise in this. In our financial services sector, we are among the world's best. Why are we lagging behind?
We're not actually lagging behind. It's
too many companies are lagging behind.
It's endemic. I've worked in the UK for 10 years, and we had the same experiences. But I think what's important now is that traditionally Africa has been a resource economy, not a knowledge economy, and increasingly now knowledge is important. Businesses going into Africa, there's a transfer of skills, transfer of knowledge. One has to ascribe value to that. One has to know how to deal with it, know how to negotiate with it, because when one does business, trade secrets are lost as people do business. It's one of the effects of doing business. But there's always going to be a trade-off, and knowing where your negotiating position is crucial. Valuing it is crucial. Documenting it is crucial. So I wouldn't say we're behind, but I do think that sometimes we're a little bit naive when doing business and not understanding correctly where our value lies.
Also, every now and then there's a big high-profile case that reminds us of these things. There was that soft drink issue with Woolworths and Frankie, I think it was.
Yeah. A very good example, let's say whether it be Frankie's or Woolworths, an entrepreneur goes to a company and says, I've got a great idea. Even if they do sign non-disclosure arrangements, they often find that this idea is taken, or it may not be taken actually, but they think it's been taken. And what are the rights, and how does one protect that type of environment? In the Frankie's Woolies issue, it was interesting that they went outside of confidence and they used the Advertising Standards Authority to get their recourse, but they also used social media very effectively to have a trial by media effectively to put pressure on and make a decision. So it's interesting the forces that collect there to protect one's IP, and I think it's then just about being savvy about where your proprietary interests lie and how to protect them. But if you don't record them, you're never going to know, and that's really the basis for my
You can be overprotective, perhaps. I recall the case with SA Breweries and Laugh It Off T-shirts, and you felt perhaps they'd overdone. They'd actually drawn attention to an infringement which wouldn't have got much attention otherwise.
Absolutely, and I think There's a risk now, especially in trademark management. Again, it's not so always a good idea to send out a letter of demand. Just one has to be aware of the repercussions. A very interesting example of Coca-Cola, who managed to turn it around. They found a Facebook site that was a rogue site, an infringing site effectively, but also established that it had 9 million followers. And in that instance, the worst thing, of course, to do is you risk ostracizing this following, is to actually legitimize them, help them, and actually it can be a win-win situation. But the traditional method of just hammering them on the head is passé, really.
So what should companies do if they haven't thought about this? How do they start thinking about it?
I think just a regular audit. Just go in, regular audit, work out what's important to you, where you can protect about patents, trademarks, copyright. Work out who's got access to it. I mean, these are people within your organization that are both valuable, but if they're valuable, maybe you want to check your contractual arrangements with them. If you're outsourcing this, especially if you're contracting with a third party, which is often the case in collaborative environments, are you protected? Particularly on copyright, people establish an app, for example. Copyright doesn't sit with you unless it's physically assigned. So one has to go through it, work out where it is, and then both legal steps and practical steps in terms of protecting that proprietary information. For example, only allowing access to certain individuals, or educating your employees that it actually is a protectable trade secret. These are all things that are important.